two things that are the most important. I tell podcasters, if you know what you're going to call your show and you know what it's going to be about, the rest of it is just following instructions.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good afternoon, Rob Walch. Previously, episode 170 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been 2 years, 9 months, and 4 days since we last spoke.
I would just say, if you're not podcasting, podcast. It's a great way to get the message out there.
That was then. This is now. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
I am as excellent as can be. Thanks for asking. It's been a bit since we've spoken.
It has. It's good to speak again.
It is definitely great to speak again. The last time we spoke, you were at Lipson. What are you doing now?
I'm at Lipson, though that has not changed. They're keeping me busy. Podcasting has gotten much busier.
Do you still have your fingertips? The email guy.
I still have my fingertips. Lots of email. That has not changed. Lots and lots of emails.
When we first spoke, your personality as to how you are a kind individual, service, it came through, it spoke through in our conversation. Please give us an update.
Well, things have gotten crazier in the podcast space. There's been crazy money thrown into this space. If anyone's watching the podcast space knows, Spotify was out spending money like a drunken sailor. And there's others that have gotten crazy money, Luminary and others, and that's caused a lot more interest in press and others on the space and people entering the space. So good news is we hired Rob Greenlee at Lipson, and Rob Greenlee is helping split some of the things that I do. So he's taking some of that burden off me. So that makes my life a little bit where I can get maybe more than 4 hours of sleep a night now.
Seems as though Lipson understands there is power in the Rob.
Yes, so it's nice. Now we have Rob and Rob G at Lipson.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful. You, my friend, have been with a host that I've been with. I attempted to switch one time and then just said, not working. Came back to Lipson. In fact, I never left. I just attempted to switch and that just didn't go too well. Lipson has been my go-to for what's been almost like 2,400 episodes, and I am very, very, very happy by what you guys do. Specifically, what you do. You're that guy that responds, and you respond, and you respond. And it's really fascinating. Does this well represent the organization, Lipson?
Yeah, I think it's part of our culture. It's who we are. It's in our DNA.
Now, you love having fun.
Mm-hmm.
You do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Going to all of these events that you go to, how do you keep your energy level up?
5-hour energy drinks and tea. I like lots of tea.
How do you keep your relational energy up with your wife? Do you use energy drinks as well?
No. Actually, we have tea together. It's something you have to try to find balance for, and she understands me. She knew how I was when she met me. And, she's very understanding, an incredible woman. I thank Karen for all that she's done. I wouldn't be where I am today without her.
And I would think so, because there are children in the mix as well, yeah?
There are two boys, 11 and 13. It's a great age because they're at the age now they can start watching some of the sci-fi classics and reading some of the sci-fi classics. So I get to introduce them to all kinds of things and then go, when I have to explain to them that, yes, that is a rotary phone in some of the older movies and explain to them what some of the things are. But yes, you really feel my age sometimes. But it's great. I think the next movie I have up on the list is Gattaca. So that's
classical.
Yeah, so that's going to be the next one I'm going to show the 13-year-old.
That's great. That's great. Do you think any one of them will be a podcaster?
Porter started podcasting the younger one when he was 5.5. So he came to me at 5.5 and said, "Dad, I want a podcast." And I was like, "Okay, well, what do you want to podcast about?" He goes, "I want to answer people's questions." And I'm like, "Well, that's a good one." I go, "What do you want to call it?" And he goes, "Porter's Podcast." So he had a title and he had a format. So those are the two things that are the most important. I tell podcasters, if you know what you're going to call your show and you know what it's going to be about, the rest of it is just following instructions.
Being consistent, being responsible seems as though two things that you apply in your life. Tell us, in looking back from now to then, do you have any regrets?
No, I don't. Not buying the right lottery ticket. No. But no, I don't when I think about it. I've been very blessed and have incredible kids. Maybe, I always joke the one thing I would have done was stay at my day job a little bit longer. But even then, maybe things wouldn't have worked out the way they did if I had and tried to do it part-time podcasting when I first started back in 2004, 2005. So no, I think things have worked out pretty well, and I'm very fortunate.
What would the now Rob tell the younger Rob?
Probably just how to record Skype interview. That could have took me 30 episodes to figure that out when I first started. Use a mixer, take it out onto a mixer, and get it on a real digital recorder. Don't buy that horrible Olympus digital recorder. Get the PMD 660. That's what I probably would have told the earlier Rob, just technically how to get that initial Skype interview setup going. Because that took a while the 30 episodes to figure that out. There was some trial and tribulation in those early days. Back then, nobody knew how to, this was 2004. Nobody knew how to record Skype back then. There were no tutorials online.
I mean, I use Ecom, and
there was no Ecom. Yeah, there was no
Ecom. I cannot imagine what you're speaking about. I just started the conversation, so yeah. But to think about like the theory behind attempting to do this, yeah, it feels as though, I would have probably stopped right there.
No, in the early days, it was people would tell you to use what was it called? Soundflower was what people tried to say use on the Mac to record, and you would create a virtual sound device, but it didn't work. Ultimately, in the early days before there were software solutions, the best solution was take it out, the audio out of your computer and bring it into a mixer. And take your audio and bring it into the mixer, and you mix the person you're listening to and yourself together and record that on a digital recorder. That ultimately was the best solution in the early days. And it's actually what I still use for the most part, although I do have call recorder as a backup if I'm away from my equipment.
Have you had a conversation with death?
With what?
It's one of those questions.
So sorry.
It's like, what? With death?
I've come close a couple times. In my early days, driving was a little too aggressive. And then I had a doctor one time that said, as a joke, I went in for an HIV test, and he said, "Yes, you're positive." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, just kidding." I'm like, "Great."
It was like nice probably the longest few seconds, right? Between the follow-up. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a scary moment there because I had gotten a blood transfusion back on Long Island in 1985. So I had gotten an HIV test in 1989 to see if there had been any issues with that blood transfusion. I had my tonsils out back in 85, end of 85. And that was on Long Island, probably not the best place in the world to have gotten a blood transfusion at that point in time. So there was some concerns. So yeah, that would have been probably the closest, I think, for those few seconds between, which seemed like an eternity from when he said, that, yes, positive, to, no, just kidding. Yeah.
It feels as though the daily reflection is so important for such of a consistent life where I want to do the best I can do today. And that just culminates into all of these successes over years. But it feels as though, and you can tell me if I'm inaccurate with this, it feels as though there's a huge focus on the day.
Yeah, personally myself, I think my pivotal moment was traveling to India back in January 2005. So I had just started podcasting, and I did a trip to India, and I came back with just like, I can go ahead and do anything I want here in the U.S. I started my own business, get out of the job I wasn't really happy with, and do podcasting, and know that I'm still going to be in a better place than what I had seen. So I think that was probably my pivotal moment. It wasn't a face of death. It was just a face of, wow, a realization that where I am, no matter how bad it might be where I'm going to be living, it's still a lot better than what I had seen there and seen in the inland parts of China. I was lucky enough to travel for work, and I got to see lots of the world and got to see how some people live that you just don't see on news and you don't see in everyday life when you're sheltered here in the U.S.
Gratitude. There's a huge point of gratitude in there. Yeah, you're thankful. Yeah. Well, my friend, I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks for giving me the opportunity to check in 2 years, 9 months, and 4 days, and a couple of minutes now, and have the ability to see that you continue to pursue that which you are passionate about, that which you've called your purpose in life. It's very motivating and inspirational to see that. So thank you for that. I'm feeling like the podcast accountability partner here.
I want to turn this around. How do you feel 2 years plus, almost 3 years now, into your podcasting experiment? How are you feeling 2,400 episodes in?
I am excited for episode 12,000.
Episode 12,000. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I tell you what, you have to have me back for episode 12,000 or 12,001.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. Well, 2 choices. You know, I love how he did that. 2 choices. Yeah. But yeah, I feel
I don't want to hog up that number, but bring me in right after.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Yeah, sounds good because, you know, it's great. This has been a great experiment thus far. Selfishly turning the question on me by helping others share their messages. I've learned so much. And yeah, I can almost tear up here. So let's not do that on the recorded version.
Okay, well, you're this many episodes in. What is one of the most profound things someone said to you?
Thank you.
Thank you?
Yeah.
Great answer.
It's interesting, right? Humanity and what we desire, what we require. Gratitude. Comes full circle, yeah?
Yes.
Full circle to India, to China. Gratitude. So, my friend, thank you. Rob Walch, in closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, I'll talk to you all around episode 12,001 or 2 or wherever you fit me in there.
I love it. Rob Walch, again, a pleasure. I treasure. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.